All right, we're on.
Hello, this is Ted, John, and Luke. And for our project, we simulated the warfare as a 2D stochastic cellular automata. Try to answer some questions, some of them being how we can model the outcome of a war when soldiers move completely randomly, is a blind war, and how we could model such an outcome when the movement of such soldiers are weighted towards the center of the battlefield. We also try to model to determine how long the battle duration would be between a blind war as compared to a weighted war. And also in our model, we weighted the probabilities of the outcome of the battle when we have a skilled soldier versus a team with more soldiers. Um, our model was a 2D dimensional stochastic model comprising sequences of random soldiers walking. We used the more neighborhood fixed boundary conditions, and our cells characteristics, either an empty cell, a cell who has a team A member, or a cell which has a team B member.
Okay, and so for implementing our stochastic CA, we modeled armies as asynchronously moving random walkers. So one at a time from each army, a soldier would move in a couple different ways. So the blind warfare was where soldiers would move completely randomly, again, within a Moore neighborhood. And the other model, which was weighted, where soldiers would move with a higher probability towards the center of the battlefield, as opposed to just in any direction. Um, uh, Something we chose was before each move, a soldier would check for enemies or an enemy within its neighborhood. And if there was one, there was a higher probability of attacking that enemy as opposed to walking in a different direction. We also applied a flanking bonus in honor of civilization, where soldiers had an additional 5% chance of winning for each ally within the neighborhood of confrontation. So if it had two, it had a 10% higher chance of winning. A couple of assumptions we made were one, two soldiers cannot occupy a single cell at a time. So just one soldier per cell. And then two, from each confrontation, two soldiers would enter and only one would survive. Okay, so here is an example of one of our weighted runs. So here you can see the battle ends kind of towards the center. We have a 10 by 10 grid with initially 10 soldiers in each army. And the way that a battle ended was if there were three, if there was a 3-to-1 ratio of, so like you could have 3 yellow soldiers versus one purple soldier or higher. Um,
Now here we have a bunch of plots for our results. For the plots to the left, you can see we varied our initial conditions. We considered the yellow team in the plots as Team A or Army A, and the purple team as Team B or Army B. And as you can see from varying these initial conditions, the time it took until the battle was resolved did not change that much. We had 1,000 different simulation runs, and you can see the distribution of these simulations are pretty much the same for all the initial conditions. You can see also that the weighted simulations resolved much faster than the random simulations, which is what we expected to see. We also have bar plots here that show that for these nice symmetrical initial conditions, we also see what we expected is that Army A and Army B won about the same amount of the time for both the random and weighted movement. For the plots to the right, this is where we simulated our like unskilled many versus the skilled few type of battle. So we can see we have the same initial conditions where the yellow team or Team A is large numbers compared to the purple team. But for all these simulations run, they had a lower chance of winning than Team B did. Yeah, and we varied this number from 0.5 to 0.3. And that's reflected in the outcomes. You can see that for 0.3, the plots all the way at the bottom, you can see that the yellow team comes up as victorious the vast majority of the time, compared to the probability of A winning 0.15, where Team B emerged victorious the large majority of the time. And you can see where that 50-50 type outcome that we saw in the first simulations, we'd expect that to occur for a probability of A winning somewhere in between 0.15 and 0.2 based on these simulations. We also see that the time until resolution seems to decrease as the probability of A winning an individual confrontation was increased. And this actually makes sense because if the Team A, which is the unskilled many, gains the upper hand, it would take a shorter amount of time or a shorter amount of individual confrontations to whittle the skilled many or the skilled not many down to few enough numbers such that the simulation would be considered to be resolved with A winning. So that's why the time is decreasing here.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.